We see a political ally pushed ahead of qualified candidates because the Prime Minister and Morgan McSweeney admired his talent for mixing with the rich and powerful, despite his known links to a man who was publicly known as a convicted paedophile and a convicted sex trafficker. Far from being the decisive man of conscience he promised to be, he has shriveled from leadership. He has dodged responsibility. He has hidden behind others, just as he's doing today, and he has come to this House and hidden behind process and lawyerly phrases. The Prime Minister has shown no courage, no judgment, no backbone. And if he can't see it, if they can't see it, I can assure them that the British public can. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for granting this important emergency debate today. And I congratulate my right honourable friend for having secured it. He made a series of excellent points, as did the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, and I agree with all of those points. It is extraordinary that on the eve of the President's state visit, we are talking about the US ambassador who's been sacked in scandal. And there are as many questions that we all have as are unanswered questions. There are many questions I will also ask today, Mr. Speaker, but the Prime Minister needs to do three things. The Prime Minister needs to come clean about what he knew and when he knew it, not send his junior ministers to cover for him. The Prime Minister needs to publish the Mandelson-Epstein files in full. The Prime Minister needs to take responsibility for the appointment of Lord Mandelson as ambassador to Washington. But the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, is not here because he is hiding from Parliament, hiding from questions. And I know that he is a busy man, but confidence in him and in his government rests on him being able to account for what happened. And so far, no one is taking any responsibility. We have our ambassador in the US sacked over his relationship with a man convicted of child sex offences. What's more, and this tells you everything you need to know, this was an appointment apparently forced through by the Prime Minister and/or his Chief of Staff. We see a political ally pushed ahead of qualified candidates because the Prime Minister and Morgan McSweeney admired his talent for mixing with the rich and powerful, despite his known links to a man who was publicly known as a convicted paedophile and a convicted sex trafficker. It is now very clear, given the speeches that we've heard before, Mr. Speaker, and everything in the public domain, it is now very clear that Peter Mandelson should never have been appointed. And it is now also clear that the Prime Minister knew that there were major concerns when he came to this House just last Wednesday. But instead of taking action, he expressed confidence in him. Why on earth did he do so? Was he poorly advised, or was it just his own poor judgment? In every single one of his government scandals till date, far from being the decisive man of conscience he promised to be, he has shriveled from leadership. He has dodged responsibility. He has hidden behind others, just as he's doing today, and he has come to this House and hidden behind process and lawyerly phrases. The Prime Minister has shown no courage, no judgment, no backbone. And if he can't see it, if they can't see it, I can assure them that the British public can. The Prime Minister has turned out to be everything he claimed to abhor. This is a government of sleaze and scandal, and Labour MPs know it. I'll be interested to see how many of them actually stand up to defend their government. Mr. Speaker, the British public, and especially the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, deserve that for once the Prime Minister be straight and honest with us. He must immediately do three things. As I said earlier, Mr. Speaker, he must apologise to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein for ever having appointed Peter Mandelson as ambassador. How is it that this has still not happened? No apology. Second, as I said, he must publish the Mandelson-Epstein files in full, all the information that he had at his disposal, both when he made the appointment and when he came to the House last week expressing full confidence. And third, he must make sure that someone takes responsibility. Everyone now agrees that Peter Mandelson should not have been appointed. We've heard so much from my right honourable friend about endless scandal, conflicts of interest with China and indeed with Russia. So why was he appointed? Was it a failure of vetting? Was it that the advisers hid information from the Prime Minister? Or was it that the Prime Minister knew and made the decision anyway? Someone needs to take responsibility. I give way to my right honourable friend.
I'm grateful to my right honourable friend. And does she agree that we've seen a rapid transformation from the Prince of Darkness into a grovelling Lord Yum-Yum? But one has to ask, why was the British Prime Minister surprised? Had he never heard the tale of the turtle and the scorpion that meet at the side of the river? Shouldn't the Prime Minister have realised that the poor old scorpion simply can't help what's in its nature?
I completely agree with my right honourable friend. I think the story is The Frog and the Scorpion. It's one of my favourite childhood stories. Everyone knows, everyone knew what Lord Mandelson had been up to. It is simply not tenable for anyone on those benches to hold the line on this one, to bury their heads in the sand and hope it goes away, least of all the Prime Minister. But we now know that the Prime Minister was aware of the compromising emails last Wednesday at Prime Minister's questions, and yet he came to the House and said that he had confidence in his ambassador, and many of them cheered. Now they're all looking at their phones. Most of them don't have the courage to look me in the eye. They were cheering last week. Now they're full of shame. Why on earth did he do that? At any point, did he ask his staff, oh, sorry, are they proud? Are they proud? No. I'll continue. At any point, did he ask his staff what more information might surface? Because that morning, Lord Mandelson was saying more information would surface. Did he receive a briefing about this ahead of Prime Minister's questions? It is inconceivable that he did not. Inconceivable. Ministers are now claiming that new information subsequently came to light, new information that they didn't have. The story is all mixed and messed up, and they know it. What information appeared that was not in the original vetting? We'd like to hear that when the Minister gives his statement. And there are still more questions to answer. When did the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff speak with Peter Mandelson last week, and what did he discuss with him? Do they have the courage to tell us that? We are told that Morgan McSweeney spent hours on the phone to the ambassador, hours on the phone, at the same time that Lord Mandelson was dodging calls from the Foreign Office. What were they talking about? Those are questions about what happened just last week. But how did all this come to happen last year? I think the chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee has asked some excellent questions. But I ask the Minister this: what led to Lord Mandelson's appointment in the first place? How was it that a man with known links to a child sex offender came to be appointed? I'll give way to the honourable gentleman.
An additional question is, was there any external influence? Did Tony Blair or any of his friends, Mandelson's friends, have anything to do with this appointment?
The honourable gentleman asks a very good question, and I hope the Minister is able to provide an answer, because all of us in this House across parties want to know. We want to know how it was that Lord Mandelson's appointment happened in the first place, because as I see it, there are only three possibilities. First, that there was a failure of vetting. But are we really supposed to believe, Mr. Speaker, are we really supposed to believe that this is the security service's fault? I don't think so. Did they not drag up the intimate relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, which was discussed last week? The second possibility, a bit more likely, is that the Prime Minister's advisers kept information from him. If that happened, that would be incredibly serious. Yes, I give way to the right honourable gentleman.
It's on that particular point. Does she agree with me that no matter what happened or didn't happen, that a Prime Minister, a leader, has to shoulder the responsibility, and it's absolutely appalling, the idea that they would then blame the staff around them. It is their responsibility, they answer to the House, no excuse.
My right honourable friend makes an excellent point. This is a Prime Minister who hides behind everybody else, whether it's his advisers or whether it's his junior ministers or his backbenchers. That's what he does. And if he does want to blame advisers, which one was it? Who kept it from him? Why have they not apologised and resigned? No one taking responsibility. And thirdly, which my right honourable friend alluded to, the most likely but most worrying reason of all is that the Prime Minister had plenty of information to suggest that Lord Mandelson should not be appointed. Plenty of information, but he chose to appoint him anyway. Even at the time, Mr. Speaker, eyebrows were raised about this appointment. There were very many critics. I remember it at the time. Now we're reading in the papers that the Prime Minister overruled security advice not to appoint Lord Mandelson. Is this true? The Minister should tell us. It is time, Mr. Speaker, for the Prime Minister to come clean. He needs to come out of hiding. This issue will not go away, Mr. Speaker. The government cannot play for time. We will be back here again and again until all of these documents are published. We will be back until someone takes responsibility. This is a political crisis on top of an economic crisis, all of the government's own making. They are distracted now, but they came into office with no plan for the country, no idea what they stood for, and no vision for what they wanted to achieve. And because of this, they have been lurching from disaster to disaster. Winter fuel, tax rises, welfare chaos, scandal. The Prime Minister's failing leadership rebooted after just 1 year. The only plan that they came into office with was a promise they made again and again to the British public that they would restore honesty and integrity to government. That was their defining mission. That was their grand plan, and it is in tatters. So far, in a year, we have had an anti-corruption minister sacked for corruption, a homelessness minister sacked for evicting tenants, a housing secretary sacked for dodging housing tax, a transport secretary sacked for fraud, a director of strategy. The speechwriter apparently lost only yesterday in scandal. The minister can shake his head. It should be shamed that he's shaking his head in. I have not said anything that is not true. And now finally we have a US ambassador sacked for his links with a known child sex offender. They claim to care about violence against women and girls until they actually have to do something about it. Where is the apology to those victims? I know the Prime Minister doesn't like difficult questions, Mr. Speaker, but it is his judgment that is being called into question, and he owes it to this country to come clean.